What's good, Kanekis? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. This is part 2. This is a follow-up of the supply and demand video I did previously. And this one's talking about price freezes. It is inspired by the politician, I believe his name is Zohran Mamdani. He recently won the primaries for the Democrats in New York. And my goodness, his policies are going to screw New Yorkers over. But before we get into it, please hit the like button. Subscribe as well if you're new and you haven't already. So we're going to be focusing on price freezes, but to be honest, this encompasses a whole lot of government intervention policies. So things like minimum wage, price freezes, specifically on rent and housing. All of it is incorporated into this, but I'm going to focus on price freezes for groceries. You can interchange the scenarios. It all works the same. So as a bit of a quick recap, I mentioned that typical or classical economists talk about supply and demand with the axes inverted. So they put quantity on the x-axis and price on the y-axis. It doesn't make sense that way. So what I've done is I inverted it and then I created equations. So this is the typical y equals mx plus c equation. You can watch that video. I go into the breakdown of it, but these are the equations I came up with. So that's the recap. Let's get into the application of this. So we're going to look at grocery prices. So we've got the initial grocery price at this level, and the current situation, the current scenario we're taking it is that, okay, inflation has happened. So prices are going up. There's more demand for these goods, for groceries, because people have to eat. So even though prices are going up, they're still paying for it. And as people see prices going up, they say, okay, if it's going to be higher in the future, I need to buy more now. So demand goes up. As demand goes up, price increases, as you can see from this equation. In reality, producers don't actually change their supply very frequently. So in the previous video, I talked about how supply would often go up to meet demand, but there is usually a lag. And this is because suppliers have fixed costs. They have contracts against these costs that run for a particular amount of time. So within that time, they don't typically increase the supply and they don't reduce it straight away. It acts with the lag. So sometimes they will just eat the costs, even though their own prices are going up because of inflation. They wouldn't increase the prices of the goods straight away. So they'll take a bit of a hit. They're willing to take a hit to reduce their profit margin. So demand increases further because once again, people are afraid of higher prices. It's inflation. So demand goes up. Supply increases a bit. So this is when suppliers are now like, okay, we're seeing that there's a lot of demand here. We need to up our production. So they increase supply a bit. But once again, they are also limited by their own costs. So they cannot increase supply to meet the whole demand. So there will be shortages. So this is where the supply demand curve currently sits. This is where it was before. This is where it is now. Demand has increased substantially. So supply has increased a bit to reduce price, to make sure it doesn't go up too high. That the government says, okay, these greedy corporations are screwing the people over. They're increasing prices. It's their fault. So we're going to put a price freeze on this. So when the government puts the price freeze, suppliers cannot charge more even though there is more demand. They say the price is not allowed to enter this particular zone. It's frozen. Stop it here. Demand goes up further because during inflation, people actually start getting raises. So there are more people with money who can now afford groceries. This is where the price would have gotten to without the government price freeze. It would have increased further, and suppliers would have actually been incentivized to bring more online. But now look at it. It is frozen. So that's now a loss for suppliers. They're now in the red. This is now a shortage for consumers because there are more people demanding the same number of goods. So obviously, if more is not coming online, there will be shortages. So the consumers are hit, suppliers are hit. As suppliers take further losses, more go underwater, more become bankrupt, more close down. So supply goes down. As supply goes down, there are more shortages for consumers due to an increasing loss for the existing suppliers. And it just keeps spiraling. Now, I've only talked about the part where the prices keep increasing. What if the price goes down in a deflationary scenario Well, if it goes down, it means that consumers do not get to enjoy the lower prices, and the suppliers actually get profits because now they are charging more than they would have if price was allowed to go below the government's mandated price freeze level. So it actually ends up benefiting the very corporations that governments are saying are greedy. This is what I mean when I say the government always screws things up. You have to think about the second order, the third order effects of government policies. So I'm going to end with this quote from the 40th President of the United States, Ronald Reagan. He says, "The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Now, Mr. Mamdani, I believe I'm saying his name right. I'll just call him Zohran. Zohran, I know you have the best interests at heart, people's best interests at heart, but your price freezes, your free bus policies are not going to work. They are simply not going to work. It's going to increase. You'll have to increase people's taxes. If you increase people's taxes, the millionaires are going to leave, further increasing the burden of taxes on the middle class and the working class. It's a death spiral. Listen, please, if you're in New York and this guy wins, I implore you to leave the state, look elsewhere, somewhere that has more libertarian views, to a state that encourages freedom, liberty, and a more hands-off approach to the economy. Because this guy's a communist, this guy's a socialist, and we've seen that socialism doesn't work. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe as well if you're new and you haven't already. Share this video out, particularly with New Yorkers, people who will be voting in the November local elections. Do let them know that this guy he's gonna leave them cooked. So please share this out with people, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.